Hello friends, I'm Shyam Tamankar. I welcome you all to an audio visual learning program MSBTE Lead Learning at Your Doorstep. Here we are going to deal with course outcome 2, unit outcome 5, part D of the subject management code 22509. So in this part we'll discuss about Abraham Maslow's theory of motivation and its implication. So, motivation is a thing which creates the impossible things to possible. It makes impossible thing to possible things. So, what is the content or agenda of this part? So, we'll discuss about Abraham Maslow's need hierarchy theory of motivation. Then we'll see how managers can motivate people to deliver goals, and we'll look at the final takeaway. So what the quote says, don't limit your challenges, challenge your limits. So don't dream small, dream big. Take bigger challenges. Don't take the small challenges. So by taking bigger challenges, you can challenge your limits. There may be the physical limits, there may be the intellectual limits. So you have certain limits. So what you do, you try to challenge those limits to achieve these bigger challenges. So we'll try to understand Maslow's need hierarchy theory of motivation. Now there are different theories by different behavioral scientists. So Abraham Maslow is one of those behavioral scientists. And he has given a theory which is popularly known as Maslow's need hierarchy theory. So in this theory, he has identified 5 sets of human needs. So according to him, there are 5 sets of human needs, and these sets are arranged, or these needs are arranged in a hierarchy of their importance. Means there is a hierarchy of importance to these needs to individual human being. So he says that you have to arrange these needs of an individual in a hierarchy of the importance of it. So this is that hierarchy. There is a pyramid. At the bottom of the pyramid means at the starting point, the first level are the psychological needs. At second level of hierarchy are safety and security needs. Third level there are social needs. At fourth there are ego and esteem needs. And at the fifth level, at the top of the pyramid, at the top of the hierarchy, you can find self-actualization needs. So these are the 5 sets of needs, and they are arranged in a hierarchy from physiological needs to self-actualization needs. Now we'll understand what are these needs. So physiological needs or the physical needs are very obvious: food, shelter and clothing. These are the basic minimum needs. If you want to survive, you must have food, you must have shelter and you must have clothing. But according to Maslow, once these needs are satisfied, then you feel to have the safety and security needs. So till physical needs are fulfilled, you don't feel about or have desire about the safety and security needs. They are your family security, your job security, the safety of your family, and so on. Now, at the third level, there are social needs. Human beings are the gregarious animal. We need company. We feel to belong to a group. There is a need that you belong to a group or a community. You always want to have love and care from someone, your near and dear ones, your friends, your relatives, your mother, father, and so on. So these are all social needs. Then the fourth level is the ego and esteem needs. Here you want the appreciation, whatever you are doing. If you are doing some social work, or you are doing some good work at your workplace, then you feel like that you must be appreciated, you must be recognized, people must respect you. So these are the needs of ego and esteem. Then comes the self actualization needs. So you achieve something special and unique, doing something for others and not for self. Take the example of Mahatma Gandhi or Swami Vivekananda. They gave their life for society. Vivekananda gave his life for Hindu Dharma, and Mahatma Gandhi gave his life for the freedom fight. So, did they think about their physical needs or their social needs or ego needs? No. They always thought about others. They always had that motivation for their work, for their mission, and they didn't bother about all other things. Their only need were doing something good for the society. Now, what is the explanation or the implications of Maslow's theory? According to Maslow, people have wide range of needs. We have seen the five sets. So the range is wide. The needs are multiple and interrelated. So there are n number of needs, multiple needs, but they are interrelated. There is an interrelation between or among them. Now everyone puts in his effort to satisfy the needs. So you must strive to satisfy these needs. You have to do that. Now there is a structural arrangement of these needs. We have seen the structure, the pyramid, the hierarchy. So some needs come first. So physical needs come first. They are at the lower level of structure. And some needs like the ego needs or the self-actualization needs, they come at the higher level. In general or in majority of the cases, the lower level needs are to be satisfied first, either wholly or partially, before higher level needs are felt. So generally, for all, the pattern is that when your physical needs are satisfied, you will feel the security needs or the safety needs, and when your safety or security needs are satisfied, then you will think about your social needs. So it is in majority of the cases, but it is not. There are certain exceptions. This is not for all. So exceptions are there. Some people will not have the importance of the social needs, but they will have importance for the ego needs. And some people will not bother about all the four stages. They are bothered about these self-actualization needs. So there is not a very fixed pattern, but it is a general pattern as per Abraham Maslow. Now, very importantly, When your need is satisfied, it acts as a motivator. So we have seen the concept of motivation, the definition of motivation, that when your needs and desires are satisfied, you feel motivated. So it means that to influence human behavior, needs are to be satisfied to act as motivator. So if you are able to satisfy needs of someone, then you can make that person motivated. There are no clear-cut demarcation lines or cut-off points between this set of needs. So there is no, a very sharp differentiation. The line of demarcation is blurred. So even before your physical needs are satisfied, you can start feeling about the security needs. And even if your security needs are not fully satisfied, you can think about the social needs. So there is no cutoff points. Social needs will emerge before the safety and security needs as well, even if they are not fully satisfied. So how the managers can motivate people to deliver goals? Manager, including frontline managers like supervisors, can definitely affect the level of motivation of their subordinates. They can do whatever they can to motivate their subordinates. They can try to fulfill the desires of the subordinates. So manager must motivate their subordinates continuously by applying appropriate factors and methods individually and collectively. So every individual is different. His motivational needs are different. So manager must read those needs of that particular individual, and there are certain collective needs of people working under them. So they must understand the individual needs as well as the collective needs of the group of people working under them, and they must apply appropriate factors and methods. They must try to understand what are the factors responsible for the motivation for those people in that particular condition. They should strive to satisfy the needs of them as appropriate. So manager must try to satisfy the needs of the subordinates, but the word is appropriate. So the needs and desires must be appropriate. They cannot be inappropriate. So you just can't fulfill the desires of someone if you want anything and everything, isn't it? So develop team spirit and lead them from the front to deliver organizational goals. Now, after motivating people, you have to create a team spirit and lead them. You must lead them from front to deliver organizational goals. So these are all the different factors like rewards, promotions, achievements, empowerment, appreciation, and so on, by which the employees can be motivated. So what is the takeaway of this UO5? Firstly, as a manager, one must understand that selecting and recruiting right person at the right place at the right time is the first step towards success. We looked into it in part A and B. Now, there has to be enough opportunities created for every individual. So, management must create opportunities for the different people working under the organization for their self-development and their career development by nurturing their talent and keeping them motivated all the time. So talent must be rewarded, it must be recognized, it must be nurtured, and it must be retained. Manager must motivate their subordinates continuously by understanding the individual difference and the individual set of needs. So you must motivate people so that someone feel and always desire to do more than what he can accomplish. and he will always say he can do it instead of saying he can't. So, this is all for this part D. Thank you, friends. Now we'll meet in last unit outcome, that is unit outcome 6 shortly. Thank you.